Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Renton Reflects. Today I'm going to talk about the feature film adaptation of Gulliver's Travels. And no, I'm not talking about the Jack Black version from 2010. I'm talking about the 1939 animated version of Gulliver's Travels. From the people that brought you such classic cartoon characters as Betty Boop and Popeye to the big screen, Gulliver's Travels was made in response to the phenomenal success of Walt Disney's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the first American animated feature film ever made. Paramount Pictures, the distributor of the Fleischer cartoons, figured that if one animation studio could profit greatly from an animated feature, why not another? And so, they gave Max and Dave Fleischer the green light to produce their own animated feature. The only problem was that Paramount wanted a Christmas 1939 release. That meant that the Fleischer brothers were given a production schedule that would last roughly 18 months. That is no easy task, but they did it. So how does the film itself hold up? Well, first, let's talk about the story. Loosely based on Part 1 from the novel of the same name by Jonathan Swift, this version of Gulliver's Travels features a sailor named Lemuel Gulliver, who gets shipwrecked during a storm and ends up on an island called Lilliput, which is inhabited by a race of very tiny people. Its king, named King Little, had just signed a wedding contract with another tiny king named Bombo, who rules the island of Blefuscu. This contract allows their two respective adult children, named Princess Glory and Prince David, to get married. When it comes time to deciding which song should be played at the wedding, the two kings get into a quarrel, and soon war is declared, and it's up to Gulliver to help settle this silly feud once and for all. Seeing how this is only the second American animated feature film ever made, it's easy enough to draw comparisons to Disney's Snow White. Not to say that the similarities are blatantly obvious, but it seems that Max and Dave Fleischer were at least inspired by Disney's Snow White in the ideas that they came up with for their own project. For example, there's the town crier of Lilliput named Gabby, who provides the comic relief. Not only does he share some similar attributes in design to the Seven Dwarfs, but he's also voiced by Pinto Colvig, who, coincidentally, also worked on Snow White, voicing two of the Seven Dwarfs. Most audiences today would recognize him best as the original voice of Disney's Goofy. One other interesting thing of note is that three of the characters, Gulliver, Glory, and David, are depicted in a realistic style, while everybody else is drawn in a cartoony style. This allows the film an opportunity to focus a little bit more on the comedy aspects from the toony characters than it does on development, particularly from Gulliver, Glory, and David, as they're not given enough screen time to truly be fleshed out as characters. Though they do have really nice singing voices. Some people might view this film as a highly extended animated short, given the scope of the storytelling. But the way I see it, director Dave Fleischer knew how to give the story substance without feeling padded out, like the type of comedic gags that are sprinkled throughout the picture. Also, it's not without its legitimately poignant moments, like a few of the song numbers that are featured on the soundtrack. So, in answer to the question on how much the film holds up, there are a few elements in Disney's Snow White that were done a lot better, like story and character development. Yet, you can't help but admire all the tremendous effort put into it, especially considering the limited production schedule that the Fleischer brothers had. The musical score by Victor Young is great, the songs are good, even the animation, despite being a little inconsistent and or rushed at times, is also really good. It's the kind of animated film that wanted to achieve the same kind of scale as Disney's Snow White. It may not be up to par as Snow White, but I still give Max and Dave Fleischer a salute for their valiant effort in producing a good quality animated film in such a short amount of time. If I were to rate this film on a scale between 1 and 10, I'd give it a 7.5. Seeing how this film is now in the public domain, you can find it just about anywhere. I recommend checking out Thunderbean Animation's restoration of the film, for they were able to make it look, and sound so much better than it has in the many decades since it fell into the public domain. And that, ladies and gentlemen, concludes my review. Thanks for watching and have yourself a happy day.